All right, 9:31, I'll call the meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to financial report.
Starting with our income for the month of January, see we generated just short of $78,000, mostly comprised of investment earnings of about 53, and interest on loans of 20,000. You can see our expenses there for the month total 37,000, giving us a net income for just over $40,000 for the month of January. On the balance sheet side, the loans receivable just over $6 million. You can see that our investment accounts total just shy of $3 million. Excuse me, just over $4 million in investment accounts, based on some long-term investments, some equity in them, and then some unrealized gains in those investment accounts, giving us total assets of $9.7 million. Current assets of $9.7 million. Then we just have a small fixed asset of our lease, which totals $10 million for our assets for the month of January. Our liabilities consist of that liability lease, just about $280,000, giving us equity of $9.7 million in the organization. So our assets, total liabilities and equity at $10 million.
All right, so we'll hop over to the customer loan report. I did print out just kind of a condensed version. We're gonna have to share. Oh, that's fine.
Here, Terry, I can show one.
Okay.
You have it?
Someone
You
read
want
it,
downstairs?
Sarah. So to kind of condense it down, so we have the customer loan report, but then I went a step further, so we have another report to show as of yesterday. So number 4 was, it's 48 days, but that is, he did come in and make a payment because he was 120 days as of the end of January. Number 19 is 48 days as of yesterday. 23 and 24 are both current. 37 is 18 days past due. It was 30 days as of the end. She's been making payments. We've been getting about the 18th of every month. 53 is 108 days. And then 68 is 78 days. So speaking of the last two, so I know we talked a lot about being kind of about our collection activity. So I have been in contact with both of those loans. I did get a letter from Reprise asking for a moratorium. We got this after the loan review committee meeting, so I just have the one copy if you guys want to look at it. And we can make a decision today or take it to the loan review next month. And then this one is for the eatery, so I'll pass it up this way. So for Reprise, that is something that has been done in the past for him, so he is requesting that again. But as you can see, the loan balance, we are down from, he paid off one of them, and then he's down to $5,400 in the balance. Which if it wasn't for him requesting a moratorium, it should have been paid off in June.
Of this year.
Yeah, so he's almost there.
So that Repute is looking for a 6-month moratorium. I'm not sure, is it principal and interest or just principal and interest?
And as I said, that's something we can also.
We've done both principal and interest, 6-month moratorium.
Yeah, and we've done interest, we've done both.
Both. You guys want to report out on the other
It's just so you guys have the background of it. So the eatery, it's just her really saying that she's thanking the WLDC for doing their doing. She is still trying to stay open. And then there is some, I guess, legal things in there too, which I guess is what you should be.
Okay.
So do you want us to take those two items to loan committee, or do you want to, are you looking for a decision
So
today?
we've done both. The eatery, there is no decision, it's just a background information for you. And I think that's something we should be talking about at the next loan review. Reprise, I would like to see something done today, so that way we can kind of clean up our book.
When's, I'm sorry, from the letter, when's Reprise, they want to backdate it to November,
To November,
so that it would be April 1?
yes.
Is that what it is?
And they're saying that their business, that's when it starts ramping
Yeah.
back up. And says, when I first started, I think we did the first like 2 years, but then he hadn't asked for it the years after that, so it has been a while since we've done something like this for him.
We need to see, I didn't see the eatery one, can you see that,
Oh,
please?
Send it back out this way.
You didn't see it?
No.
but overall, we did clean up, the customer loan report. We did make a lot of progress on this last month, and significantly decreased our past dues.
No, this is helpful, this piece is helpful in addition to the report. Yes, it does look like good progress has been made the past month on these.
Yeah, and that way I also am just making it so on here will show the status as of the end of the month, and then I'm going to run a report like this right before the board meeting, so I'll give everyone paper copies when you walk in, because
Yep,
it won't be
that's
in the packet, just
That's
so we can
fine.
get a more accurate look. The letters are going out with this month's billing about bringing back our late loan fees, so that will also be implemented. I'm hopeful
That's
that
going to the whole
going
loan.
to
group?
everybody.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful that will also significantly decrease our past dues.
Well, this is real good progress here, and it really, I mean, with the exception of a couple, they're gonna almost be paid off here in the relative near
Yeah.
term, so that's,
Was it a 6-month moratorium we did for Reprise before? The same, so they're asking for the same thing?
Yeah, so we've done it before, so the winter months have been slower,
Yeah.
from what I looked back at.
how do you envision, do you want a motion on that today, outside of the financial report and the loan
Yes.
review, and then, okay.
But it was just easier when we were talking about it to just
Yeah.
keep bringing it up. But we can do a motion on the customer loan report and the
Okay,
financial.
is there a motion to accept the financial reports?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
And then do we want to wait till we get to loan review committee to take action on?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, moving on to committee reports, governance committee.
The governance committee met on February 12th for the purpose of reviewing the confidential board evaluation results that you have in your packet. The total of our board members and their designees is 11, so we had a pretty high response rate of 10 versus 6 last year. I would attribute that to and thank Kylie and Joy for giving us the survey in the electronic format, made it very easy to complete. We went through the results and, I mean, overall, they're very good, right? We pretty much are in agree. Somewhat agree, when we look at that statement about risk mitigation strategies, and almost half of the respondents gave us somewhat agree. We felt that was enough of a red flag to warrant some discussion, right? And so we talked a lot and really learned through our discussion that there's more happening in terms of risk mitigation at the management level than perhaps what the board is aware of. So we talked about some strategies, how we might better capture some of our discussions in the minutes around risk, particularly at the loan committee level. And we also talked about the lag in timing of when the loan report is generated versus, you know, the board meeting, and Kylie has addressed that today. We talked about her strategy, which is, I think, a nice balance of being supportive to our lendees, to our business partners, in terms of partnership, but then also letting them know that there are repercussions when you don't pay the loan, right? And she's gotten a little pushback because she's different than her predecessor, but from what I see, she's demonstrated a good, strong call to action there. So it kind of led us down the path of including a CEO report in the board meeting to help us better kind of understand some of her activities and up to and including risk mitigation. And lo and behold, she had a report, like she keeps track of her work and she had something prepared already. So we recommended adding that to the agenda and making a regular agenda item to allow Kylie an opportunity to kind of talk through some of her strategy, which I think will perhaps put more of us in the agree column next year when we do our confidential board evaluation. So are there any questions about any of that?
I think these are outstanding results overall.
And the response rate too, right, from 6 to 10,
Yeah.
big jump. So.
Was it me? I'm just kidding.
We talked about that, Kyle.
Yeah,
We
probably
won't go
was.
into that.
I'm sure it was you, Mark.
I'm sure it was.
I would attribute the response rate increase to the new chairman of the
Oh.
governance committee.
Oh.
I'm gonna write that in my minutes.
Boy, a lot of kind comments coming around there.
No, I think the link was brilliant, because before we had to print it off, right, and then we had to fill it out, and then we had to submit it. And, you know, we got the link, and then those of us who maybe procrastinated, Joy said it again. Yeah, no, Joy was just click on it.
And
it was super easy.
It's completely confidential
Yes,
because I have
right.
no clue who
Yeah.
did what.
Yeah.
So, and the other ones, you know, you slip it on our desk, you know, like, yeah, well, that came from, you know, just knowing from the other place, so.
Rachel's handwriting.
Yeah, I kind of know that.
We don't need a motion on that or anything, right?
Do we approve this or not? I believe we have to, because this is part of our Paris reporting.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the governance committee report.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to loan review committee.
Do you want me to? Okay. So with our audit, or as you all know, we're in the middle of our audit. As you may remember, last year they wanted to, it was a discussion about CECL and increasing our loan risk rating. Well, as we were doing our audit this year, it came back, we are reserving too much money now. So we had to relook at it, we went the opposite. After speaking with them, we did go with some of their recommendations, which is explained on the loan risk rating explanation. Our average loan loss is at 2.07%. So that's what our base was off. So to add in for as far as like the economic conditions, trends in loan volume and terms, and management and board changes, we added a percent. So it's 3% for satisfactory. Watch is now 8% and substandard is 13%. There also is, we have the ability to do 100% if we foresee there being more issues. So as you can see on here, there is one that we have 100%. And again, that is based on, we can kind of see before somebody is defaulting, we can kind of see, we always try to work with somebody prior to making that decision. So as you can see, 67, I did 100% because that's what I foresee happening. Is there any questions on it?
Just off memory, do you recall, because you mentioned there when we sat the other day, what's been our historical write-off average for the last couple of years? You had some data on that.
Yes, we did. I wanna say-
2.07?
Yeah, so it's 2.07, but the dollar amount has really been up and down. So the average, was last year we only wrote off 3, but it was a total of, how much was it? 47.
47,000.
Maybe.
And the year before was below that, wasn't it?
Yes, and the year before that, it was higher, but that was because of building next door.
Right.
So statistically, our big loans aren't the ones we're defaulting on,
Right.
is the smaller ones. So I think like the max in the last few years was probably, I think it was a $68,000 loan individually. But we don't typically have all that many defaulting. Because again, we do try to work with our customers as much as possible before we get to that point.
So it would seem with the 283,000.
We would be more than fine. Yeah,
Yeah, and our current level is what do we reserve?
580.
500 and
yeah,
something.
587 is the number that sticks out.
Yeah, but based on the history and the trending of the history, at 283, still close. It's really, it's 262. We wouldn't reserve the full 83 unless we book those loans at a penny. But that still accommodates if we did have an impact of a loss.
And this is something we'll really, could change year to year depending on our average of loan loss to see what is like the best. It isn't recommended to stick with the same numbers, which we have historically done. We've stuck with like, we had 5, 10, and 15 for a very long time. So it was recommended also to us to really look at it every year to make sure we're doing an accurate, reserving an accurate number.
And this is where you want us to make a motion on that.
For recruit.
Plus the loan risk rating, we have to
Yeah, so both of
reapprove
those.
that too.
Okay, so if we want to tackle loan risk rating first, is there a motion on that?
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then moving on to reprise.
I think there's also discussion around it as well.
And I think they've been a pretty good customer. They, as you mentioned, they paid off the previous one early. I'd be inclined to grant that principal and interest moratorium, help them through their slow time period.
And it's about, we're already halfway through what they're requesting, so I would agree.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, CEO's report.
So with the CEO report, again, this is when we were doing the confidential evaluation, we were talking about having one, and this is just what I've been using every month to track what I deem important in my mind, to see like what I've been doing, so it's all things I want to be checking back on. Again, so it's just certain people I've met with, it's not everybody, talk about the committees, and then for, talk about our social media, which has been making some great traction.
Did we pass the IDA yet, or the JCED?
We did pass.
We passed you.
I know you don't know we're at competition,
Boom.
but in my mind, I was, no, I'm
Passes.
sorry.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh.
What?
We're at
On your
competition
Facebook.
with you on social media followers, unofficially.
Okay, yeah,
You
that's
know.
probably wasn't too difficult.
So, I don't know why, it's just in my mind, I needed some type of competition, so I apologize.
I like
it. You were the one I was competing against.
Yeah.
So our social media has, as I said, it has been doing really well. And then this also just breaks down the loans are past due, talks about how past exactly they are, and this is all done on January
Oh, sure.
31st. And talking about, so it also like the original loan balance, so they're just items that I like to see when I'm looking back. So it gives me a snapshot of how the month went. So I guess kind of how to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Would you like to run our social media too?
I mean, I really do enjoy it, but,
Then who would she compete with?
yeah, I have to compete with somebody.
I think get Robin on it.
It's actually been really fun, so I do enjoy it.
It's tough when you see the numbers, right?
It's heartbreaking.
So does anybody have any questions on the CTO report?
No, I'll just say it's a neat document, we can breeze through it, and it might jog a discussion point or something, so that's helpful.
Agreed. All right, moving on to new business, is there any new business?
So for new business, we did receive, what's today's date? So yesterday, we had that working capital note with neighbors for the 200,000. So they request yearly, and then there's a 1% loan fee. So
Oh, we renew that
we
form
renew it
annually.
every
Okay.
year. And as I said, the only thing we get, it's a 1% loan fee then on it. So I guess we just need a motion to renew that again for the year.
I'll make a motion to extend another annual cycle for neighbors all that time.
For a second.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any other new business?
Not new. Nope. we pulled this one.
Okay, old business?
We'll have to go to an executive session.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's an executive session talking about potential real estate transaction.
I'll make a motion, we enter executive session to discuss potential real estate transactions.
Second. Moved and seconded,